All right. Good evening, everyone. We'll call meeting to order. It is now 7:32. Call meeting 1444 to order, and welcome the online viewers tonight. Agenda meeting number 1444 in front of you. Are there any additions to the agenda? Hearing none, sorry. We shall move on to minutes from regular meeting number 1443 held on October 24th. Are there any errors or omissions? Noted.
I got one there on our first page. Is it regular meeting number 1443 or 42?
43.
Oh, on agenda?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
All right, good to note.
So sorry, is this is meeting 1444, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. All right, thank you. So hearing no more errors or omissions, can I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Freak, seconded by Councillor Hancock. Call for a question. Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. Business arising from the minutes. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Quiet bunch here tonight. Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Does anybody have any new business to table? All right, hearing none. I just want to speak to Remembrance Day this past November 11th. I think I can say this speaking on behalf of the community. You know, the cenotaph is back in its rightful place. It's a structure that represents so much more than we seem to remember every single day, and I'd just like to, you know, not only on that day, but days going forward, that when things get rough in life and times can get tough for everybody, just remember how blessed we are to live in this country, in this province, and obviously being biased in this community. So it was a great turnout, and talking with the Legion, they're looking to keep improving the site, and I look forward to doing that in conjunction with council. And I just want to say again, a shout out and a huge thank you to council for supporting that initiative. Moving on to correspondence. In front of you, you'll see item number 1, Department of Transportation Infrastructure. Storm drain study approval to enter into contract with consultants. 2, Crohn's Colitis Canada. Crohn's Colitis month of November has asked the town to turn the town building red lighting to represent that. So we've done the bridge. Communications Officer Jason Young has sent that to that organization, so that's taken care of. Item number 3, Department of Transportation Infrastructure. Circular municipal infrastructure applications for your information. Item number 4, Municipal and Provincial Affairs, Urban and Rural Planning Act appeals for your information. Item number 5, Keith Cormier, Council to adopt land acknowledgement as part of our official proceedings and erect Mi'kmaq Grand Council flag. We'll have further discussion. Item number 6, Scott Bungie, 1-3 Lakeside Drive business, grandfathered in, always was a commercial building. That concludes correspondence. So we shall move into reports.
Maxine, do we need a motion for number 1 or?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I should have that book there.
Okay.
That's just to approval to go into the contract with the consultant.
With
So we just
consultant.
need a motion to
Okay.
accept that contract.
Councillor Jones or Councillor Fitzgerald, if you wouldn't mind.
I'd like to make the motion to go into the contract for storm and drainage study of CBLC LT Limited.
All right, thank you, Councillor Jones. Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Fitzgerald. Call for a question. Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Thank
I
you.
just want number 6.
Yeah.
He, what happened is he's purchasing that property, and it's already, that's where the juniper barbecue scraper and stuff was, like that's where, so he wants to do like a small office, a little manufacturing, plant behind it,
Mm-hmm.
and, not a plant, I guess just a little space. And before he bought it, he wanted to come to council and ask to make sure that he could do that. So he just asked if we can have something in writing tomorrow, and then he can go ahead and
Okay, so we'll follow up with him tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only more this zoning is okay, we allow some people
Well,
go there.
zone residential is the thing, but it's
Always been there.
a little, before it was a gym, then it was like a burn scraper place. So it kind of grandfathered in on that property, but he wanted something in writing before he purchased it.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Modifications he wants to do to the building?
He just said a small little workshop in the back and an office.
Of course, it's containing in the building, but it's not
Yeah.
going expanding, it's just
No,
containing.
Oh,
Just
Yeah.
that building, yes.
Okay.
The building itself. And we can put that in the letter.
Yeah.
As long as he stays within the building.
All right, everyone's good with that?
I'm surprised a little bit this one never went to Environment and Housing. Number
Time
six.
to-
Sent it in after environment and housing was the reason. So, and it's not really, it's just a.
And he wants to, like, I think, like, you know, this sale needs to go through. Like, obviously,
That's
like,
the
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
is
There's a time
being
thing.
held up on a sale, right?
Mhm.
So once he buys the purchase, he'll put an application for a business afterwards, and that will go through environment and housing. But he didn't want to purchase property and then put an application for the business and it get turned down.
I mean, I do look at the business that was just there as being fairly similar to what he's going to be doing in lots of ways. I mean, working with tools and wood, and I don't know, no issue here.
No, that's all good conversation. And always it's good to see a business want to expand, so.
Yeah, 100%.
Moving on to reports, Finance Counselor Freak, please.
Finance met on November the 9th. Myself, Councillor Jones, Councillor Fitzgerald, and Town Manager Maxine Hayden. Item number 1, Brook claim for number 12 for $521,111.28. Cost shared, recommended approval. Item number 2, Brook construction change order 14 for $18,330, recommended approval. Item number 3, the 23rd Veterans Service Recognition Book donation, standard donation approved. Item number 4, Royal Canadian Legion Poppy Campaign, standard donation approved. Item number 5, tax adjustments for $1,001.60, recommended approval. Item number 6, the town office will be closed for 3 days during Christmas, the 28th, 29th, and 30th. Employees will be using vacation days for this, and we recommended approval. Item number 7 was the Christmas turkey drive, and we explored the cost for these turkeys. Item number 8, the BMO transfer an increase to the transfer limit for payroll. We need a motion from council in order to have this limit changed, and it's just really a technicality. They're able to do it most days. Somebody at BMO's usually sitting on the other end, but if they're not, then they got to wait for somebody to sit back in order to do the transfer. So they just need a motion from council to increase that transfer limit. So I make a motion to accept the finance report for November the 9th.
Okay, are we gonna do a separate motion for item 8?
No, I think I'm good with that.
You're
I'm good with
You're
that.
good with all? Okay.
Yep.
perfect. All right, thanks, Councillor Freak. Moved by Councillor Freak, seconded by Councillor Jones. Call for a question.
Yeah, I have a question. Just wondering, the tax adjustments, when I click on that, it just basically says requesting exemption, and then it just has an amount. But I guess I'm just wondering, like, what is it for? What is it?
It would, sorry, I'm going to go to that page. So we aren't to know names.
Yeah, the names is fine, but what is it? You know what I mean? What is the exemption?
I would assume Maxine should have that there with her. Let me just get to that. Requesting the exemption, and those accounts would fall within standard. Because she's not requesting anything different, this would be an exemption that would be within our guidelines.
Like from
correct?
our exemption guidelines?
Yes.
Okay.
Exemptions?
If that's what it is, then it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
with me,
Yeah, because normally if she's looking for an
It's-
exemption,
It's
she's
just
gotta state it.
perhaps like a touch more info. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
for someone who wasn't there, who wouldn't have seen it, who has to vote and say,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm going to approve these exemptions. It just really says requesting exemption for 5808.
Let's just make sure that,
Yeah.
do you have that there, Maxine, with you?
It's for property tax for low exemptions
Oh, okay.
Low exemptions.
That's,
okay.
that's perfect.
And within our guideline.
within a guideline.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, we have mover, seconder, question called. Any more questions or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. On to accounts payable. Councillor Freak, please.
Accounts payable for November the 7th, items number 1 through 60, excluding number 7 and 56. I make a motion to pay accounts payable.
Moved by Councillor Freak, seconded by Councillor Jones. Call for a question. Hearing none. All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, Councillor Freak.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll
I'm
get
gonna-
Councillor Hancock out for the first one.
All right. All right, Jones.
Item number 7 is for B&S Trucking for $4,117. This is for dumpster rentals and waste removal. I make a motion to pay the invoice.
All right, thank you. Moved by Councillor Freak, seconded by
Second.
Councillor Fitzgerald. Call for a question. Hearing none. All those in favor? Motion carried. I'll grab Councillor.
I can leave it.
Is item number 24 not able to be done here in town anymore?
That's the plaques that we have done for the benches, they're in really the plastic that has an embedded back into it. So the only ones that were ever done here in town were always on brass, but that was a long time.
Right. Okay, awesome. Okay, so item number 56, we've, oh. Sorry. Item number 56 for Western Steelworks for $116.68. This is for unit number 42 and hydraulic fitting. Make a motion to pay the invoice.
All right, thank you. Moved by Councillor Freak, seconded by Councillor Fitzgerald. Call for a question. Hearing none. All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. Alrighty, that concludes finance report and accounts payable. On to environment and housing. Councillor Jones, please.
Okay, our meeting was held on November the 9th, Wednesday. The report is presented there in front of you. Items under general repairs, the first 4 items. 5 items, sorry, is permits been issued. The next 2 on the extension of decks and patios is one for Clinic Drive and Drawers Lane. These permits have been issued. Accessory buildings for 8th Avenue and Dr. McDonald Drive for sheds and a garage, permit has been issued. A new residence, 70599 Newfoundland Labrador Inc., Amanda Avenue, new dwelling permit been issued. And the commercial, the Pentecostal Church roof repair and Kingdom Hall replacement of doors, these permits has been issued. And the land development, the 70599 Newfoundland Labrador Inc., for Amanda Avenue, 7 to 10 loads of fill, permit has been issued. Under the permit applications, number 1, Humber Valley Auto Detailing, car detailing, cleaning, upholstery, and cleaning, approved. Number 2, 46 Murdoch Drive for Airbnb, approved pending service NL. Newfoundland Mi'kmaq Trading Post, North Main Street Craft Store, approved pending service NL. 158 Nicholasville Road for Airbnb, approved pending service NL. Number 5, Pampered and Pine, it's Pine Tree Drive for Beauty Cosmetics, personal care has been approved. And number 6, Humber Valley Inspection Services for Pine Tree Drive, resubmitted with above as per our previous reply. Just been approved. And number 7 and 5, Jack's Place for a tanning salon, approved. Number 8 for CMC 1-7 Nichols Drive, is an application for a 4-plex, but we're going to defer this tonight for more information and detail on the area. And number 9, we had this and other on the boat launch, excuse me, for St. Jude's ramp. Needs a civic address for municipal assessment, need a road name from council. I guess I asked around if anybody had any suggestions. We haven't seen none. So what we're going to do on our next environment news meeting, we'll bring back a recommendation for the naming of this boat launch area. So I move that we accept the environment news report for Wednesday, November 9th.
All right, thank you. Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Fitzgerald. Call for the question. I just want to make a quick note to item number 9, road names. Councillor Jones, there is, I'm not sure, but just bring that, there's a running list already? Or are you looking specifically to come up and create something where it's waterfront?
We got I done a bit of digging the weekend over a few friends and that, and it's an interesting story down behind the lake there, so I think we're going to bring it back once I get the details and the facts, and I'll bring it back to him for our environment news meeting for recommendation.
Okay, great. All right, other than that, does anyone have any questions or discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Moving on to Public Works, Councillor Fitzgerald, please.
This is the Public Works meeting for November 9th, 2022. In attendance was Town Manager Maxine Hayden, Public Works Superintendent Dave Thomas, Director of Operations and Communications Jason Young, and myself. The first 4 items in front of you are for more or less information purposes. Number 1, Riverbank Road. Staff have met with potential developers of the property adjacent to 116 Riverbank Road regarding the connection from Riverbank Road to Amanda Avenue. Staff is still working on it, and just for everyone's knowledge, that the RFQ for Riverbank Road has closed now, and the town will be evaluating the submissions during the next couple of weeks. Number 2, storm sewer study. Town staff are currently working with the consultant to compile the builds for the current storm sewer, and the area have identified the study of concern. Number 3, capital works application. Staff has submitted applications for the 3 priorities identified by council in our last meeting. Number 1 is Garden Road Phase 2, water and sewer. Number 2 is the main lift station, and number 3 is Riverbank Road foundering. And just sorry, my numbers are wrong here. Number 4, winter preparation. As you all know, we've already had our snow, and our crews have already been out. So this is kind of outdated, but our public works staff continue to prepare for winter snow clearing season to ensure our equipment is ready for winter operations. And number 5, 33 George Aaron Drive. The current resident doesn't have municipal water or sewer running to his property. The owners requested that previously paid water sewer tax for the property be allocated for the actual connection fee for this property. However, residents of Deer Lake are always been required to pay water and sewer tax if the service is accessible for their property. So the connection fee still applies. Therefore, we recommend this request, as the previously paid taxes do not apply for the connection fee. With that said, I recommend accept Public Works meeting minutes for November 9th, 2022.
All right, moved by Councillor Fitzgerald, seconded by Councillor Jones. Call for a question. I've got one, and this is to the discretion of committee and council, I guess, but I spoke to Councillor Freak as well, and we've both been approached, not really aware of the file for item number 7. Is there any way, obviously this is not a finance thing to pull back or to hold up, is there any way we can, and if you're in favor, Councillor Freak, I think I'd like, you know, to the complexities of obviously names, taxes, whichever, can we get deferral on that, or is that something everyone would be okay with at this time, just for our own clarification?
I have no issues deferring. This has been a contentious topic, I know, and it's been brought up a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
If there's further information that needs to be applied to this, I have no issues deferring that.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. I'm not trying to change the will of, you know, the committee's authority to make the decision. This one kind of, I felt a little not in the know of, probably more than I should have, but I just, And, you know, at the end of the day, or at the beginning of new light, I don't see it changing, whatever, but I'd just like to have some more clarification, I guess, in a, in-camera meeting, if that's okay?
Yeah, well, but the largest, well, I guess the main concern here is that it is stipulation of the regulations, and the town management is moving forward as per our regulations, so.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
I apologize,
Yep.
but I didn't have the time to in-depth review every committee report, which I usually do, but this has been a little bit busy and some things extra going on, I guess, personally, whichever, whatever, but just, again, not to disrespect the committee's submission, but I'd like to have some more clarification personally. If you want to speak to it, Council Free.
Yeah, I just want to ask, so the connection fee is how much?
It all depends on, no, there'll be no
No,
asphalt
connection
cutting
fee is
there.
$500 for water, $500 for sewer, so $1,000 altogether, plus the cut of the asphalt.
So the ask is for the 448 that would have been for 2022, that's been paid, if it was paid.
I think
Was
it's
it-
for the previous taxes that have been paid on the property prior to even last fiscal. Am I
Right.
right in saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was my understanding that the water line came down and turned before it hit this property. So it went across the street and it came back out and left. So water, I know we've always charged, so that's not the case. Water passes right by in front of the property. So if water passes right in front of the property, all residents are required to pay water and sewer if it's passing by, whether you're connected or not.
Yep.
Can we just have the documentation that I can see that it's, or the surveys or whatever, like just email us copies later? It was my understanding that it did not pass by. So that's why the resident was looking for the money
Okay,
back.
we did check that, but we will get the drawings. It
Yeah,
was checked
just
before
to,
committee.
just to make sure that it makes sense. Okay.
Yep.
All right, thanks for that.
And
And I
again-
agree. Deferral, I think it just got a few more questions, but I agree with you.
Yeah, no, exactly, and this is not something that we're holding up a file for a build or.
No,
for-
it's,
This is an existing
Yes,
file that
yeah.
you've had to deal with, okay.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Friendly amendment.
Yeah, I got
So
that.
could you make a friendly amendment
yeah.
to that?
Okay, we're gonna defer number, well, it'll be
Five.
number 7. Yeah, number 5 in our actual item number 5, 33 George Aaron Drive for further information.
Okay, and that's moved by Councillor Fitzgerald, seconded by Councillor
Jones.
Jones.
Before we go on, Jason, did you want to address or Dave, the snow clearing parking? Because we talked about it today, and just to make sure all residents are aware that,
Yeah, so we had a discussion today that we have, our winter parking ban actually comes into effect on December 1st. But that's 24 hours a day, there's no on-street parking. In those same traffic regulations, it states that when snow clearing is in operations, parking on the road is not permitted if snow clearing is deemed necessary. So it is a ticketable offense if you park on a street and a snow plow has to move around your vehicle. So that can be active right now. So starting tomorrow, we will educate the residents and cite the documentation that shows that.
Okay. With that,
There's 2 dates, there's December 1st, that it's regardless if it's 8 AM or 8 PM, there's no on-street parking. But once snow has been on the ground and snow clearing is now in operation, that if you hinder snowplow operations, it can be a typical offense. Am I correct, Dave, and interpretation?
and I guess to add to that, you know, it's not that the town's out, wanting to enforce ticketing. It's more so for, I've had the pleasure, or I guess the experience, I don't know how pleasuresome it was, and hats off to all the operators that do that for a living, these clearing roads. It's not an easy job when you got obstacles in front of you. It makes it extremely difficult, which makes it extremely difficult for the rest of the traffic, public traffic, to commute around town. So that's a good note. And again, with this past weekend, I was one of the ones that was probably thinking, where are our plows? So, you know, we do have all the technology that tracks them. They were out. This has been an odd start to a winter. Usually you get lighter, you know, snowfalls, but hats off to the crew for good work over the past weekend. Dave, please pass that along. And other than that, sorry, I just wanted to mention that.
Mayor, probably also mentioned too about, we did put a notice on Facebook today about basketball nets, hockey nets, and other things that may be in the road, that we encourage people now that winter season has started to remove those.
Yeah.
And we will this week start reminding people that they do tend to put the garbage out a day early, but because of snow clearing now, we do encourage that the garbage goes the morning off, because typically we do start the snow clearing in the morning well before
Yeah.
the garbage collection does begin, so it just becomes, those in themselves become a hindrance to snow clearing if we have the beans right in the road.
Yeah, and I mean, it's transition every year again. This season seems like it came in like a lion, and hopefully that's not the case where it stays. But I guess it's just a reminder that we all have to have patience. I was frustrated myself trying to get around Saturday, probably because I didn't have the proper tires on in time. But luckily I had, you know, a device that I could put into four-wheel drive, but it wasn't a very nice day. And there'll be many of those ahead, so just please, you know, try to be patient, take your time, because our operators are, and I'll say it, some of the best in this province.
A question, so you're, I guess for clarification, if you're parked at night, say 10:30 in the morning on the side of the road and the snow there and the plow comes by and you're in visiting someone, you could get a ticket for it?
No,
If
this,
the road needs to be plowed, you can be.
there's a timeline though. If you look at the regulations, it's overnight.
No,
No,
no.
no,
It's
that's why,
operations.
It's all time.
that's why I want clarification. So if I go and visit, or anybody goes to visit anywhere, or even go downtown to stop in the store and to storm me that day, so we happen to park, somebody happens to park there and the municipal police officer passes by and says, well, geez, I can give them a ticket. So he can pull in there and give them a ticket even though it's business hours and you're trying to get into a store, even though,
I can't imagine it's the parking spaces on Main Street. They're.
well, there's no difference if you, like this.
That's parking
That's-
spaces.
yeah.
You're parking on a
This is
roadway
side
or a
of the road.
highway.
Okay, so
Is
what-
and Jason will put out we'll send out the regulations or put it on Facebook tomorrow. And we can send it to you guys too, so you're all aware. But it does say a roadway or, I think it calls it a highway also in our regulations. I'm not sure
Part of
what
it is,
highways we have.
Worst case scenario, Saturday, we didn't know it was gonna snow, or we knew it was gonna snow, we didn't know what time. You get up 10 o'clock in the morning, your road's not plowed, you take your truck, park it on the side of the road, we gotta go around you. Now you got no windrow. People catch on to items such as that, then all of a sudden it becomes a hindrance. That is not that we're trying to deter people from parking on the road, it just becomes that we need to have clear passage. Because for emergency vehicles, for ambulances and fire trucks, that, you know, they're the primary concern. And then it comes for school buses.
And you know, Councillor Jones, I don't think, you've been here around the table longest, we're not reinventing the wheel and back to, and it's discretionary, obviously, to MEO. Residents, as far as I know, in the last term, were very compliant. But back to communications officer, or director, sorry, this is more of an educational piece, more than coming out to say, hey, we're gonna ticket people, but it's an awareness campaign.
You just think about somebody trying to drive by now in a little tiny car. You got your mom out, or you know your grandmother out in a little tiny car, and now the wind roll is like right out in the road because they went around a vehicle. I mean, the hazard of what that person has to go through as well. You don't want to be at that.
So if your mom comes over your place and there's a
She gotta
snowbank
get in the
there,
driveway.
she gotta drive on by. If she can't get the driveway, you got a family gathering
Yeah.
and
Shovel her
your
in.
driveway's full,
Yep.
so she can't park there, get in.
No, it's never been.
I think,
Because always snow clearing in Newfoundland in the winter time is,
but Councillor Jones, this is not anything we're doing different than
I
we've
know
done
it's not different.
previously.
but before my understanding was a certain time after hours, when the plows were out and trying to clear the roads. Obviously, you don't leave your vehicle on the side of the road all
If
night.
you goes out and parks your car on the side of the road while you're getting a snowblower out clearing, like, I mean, the boys are more than accommodating. But if everybody on the
definitely.
street got a guest coming by and everybody's parked out on the road, Kiri, we'd never get Councillor Jones. The boys would never get the snow plowing done. It's a huge safety hazard.
Sometimes that we had those.
Get down roads. Yeah.
There's been that many cars parked on the road. It was impossible.
It's happened on our street. I know that there's been parking on both sides with, like, especially in places where there's high density living. It's a hazard.
Okay.
And it's only when like I know snow clearing happens all winter, But for the most part, if the boys just went through and cleared the road,
They're done for most.
they're
of the
done.
day,
You can,
yeah.
you can park there then. They're not gonna come back and do it again. It's just, to make sure that you're not in the way
No,
when,
you're not.
when they're going through.
Yeah, question, Laura, you mentioned there, like Main Street, for example, is it permitted to park on the street then? Because my understanding that it wasn't, even with our parking ban. But where that's designated parking spaces, because I know there's been issues before that businesses have been ticketed
Yeah,
in
and
the
I don't know,
area.
Dave, do you have an answer to that? Cause I don't, the parking spaces,
Normally, if it's during the day, cars aren't ticketed, they're parked on Main Street because they're in parking stall. And if there's an event going on at one of the bars on Main Street, and there's a vehicle there overnight, normally we will just excuse that. But if it's left there for more than a day,
yeah.
well, then it's ticketed. But
And
if it's-
again-
If it's just overnight, we'll just excuse it because we'd rather see them take a taxi home and leave the vehicle there.
1,000 times over, yeah.
And again, if Jason educates tomorrow, I'm sure if he's highlighting, quick policies, procedures, how to leave your car out, like it will clarify what's in the regulations for a resident and businesses.
I think, like in most law, reasonable sort of prevails,
Yeah.
generally speaking, So if we take a reasonable approach to all of it, we'll be okay, I think.
All right, this is all great discussion. Councillor Fitzgerald, I applaud you for taking on the chair of this committee. It was always the most controversial debate in the last term, and hats off to
Boring
you.
years ago.
Yeah, so hats off to you for that. Is there any more discussion to the Public Works report?
Yes, huge thanks for Public Works and the Municipal Enforcement for putting off our Socket for Sick Kids barbecue fundraiser this week,
Definitely.
last week. And I don't know if our viewers watching can hear Jason. Like, did you recap what he had said about just the snow clearing or just to
No,
residents?
they can hear him, they just
Hear
can't
'em?
see
Okay,
him.
perfect. All right,
Yeah.
as long as everybody can hear him.
Good
If
way
you
to do
can't
it.
hear him, he'll put your updates online in the
But
morning.
we are working on that, because not all staff are comfortable to want to be on camera, Dave, but you are at the moment, so.
not
All
all
right, is
councillors
there
are happy
any
to be
more
on.
discussion to the Public Works report? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you for that, folks. Moving on to Arts Recreation, Councillor Langdon, please. No problem.
You don't need that microphone, Brad.
No, Brett, you're
Who you
Councillor
kidding?
Langdon, you're the only one that doesn't need it.
You beat that up, Tom?
Okay, sorry, the Departments of Arts, Recreation, and Culture met on October 28, 2022. In attendance was Town Manager Maxine Hayden, Councillor Brett Langdon, Director of Recreation Community Services Glenn Wiseman, and Director of Operations and Communications Jason Young. The first two items are for council approval. Item number 1 is the parking lot that we discussed in a previous council meeting off of Main Street. The Recreation Committee recommends approval for the construction of the parking lot off Main Street in front of the Hodder Recreation Complex. In conversation with Public Works Superintendent, the cost of the parking lot will be roughly $15,000. The new parking lot will alleviate some of the parking issues created by the construction of the new annex over the winter and has room for potential expansion beyond that. Item number 2, Main Street tree lights. The Recreation Committee recommends replacing the broken tree lights along Main Street with multicolor lights before the holiday season. The cost to replace these lights will be roughly $5,000. The next 3 items are for council information. Item number 3 is the canteen request for proposal. The town of Deer Lake went out and it closed on November 12th for a new provider for the canteen services in the Hodder Arena, and we hope to select that in the next coming week or so. Item number 4, Come Home Your Photo Contest. The Recreation Committee will reinstate the Come Home Your Photo Contest from now until the end of 2022. This will be a bi-weekly contest running from the beginning of November to the end of January. Sorry, my apologies. The photos will be posted on the Deer Lake Facebook page, similar to how they were before. Item number 5, Bonfire Night, happened on November 5th at 6:30. It was hosted by the Treehouse with support from the town of Deer Lake, the Deer Lake Fire Department, and other community members, and we certainly commend everybody for that and for the great event. That concludes the Department of Arts, Recreation, and Culture meeting, which adjourned at 3:30 p.m. I make a motion to accept these minutes.
All right, thank you, Councillor Langdon. Moved by Councillor Langdon, seconded by Councillor Hancock. Call for the question or discussion.
I guess number one, the 15,000 is coming in the recreation budget. It's from the recreation report.
Yes, it is.
Any further questions or comments, discussion?
About the entire report, right? Not just the question one?
The floor is yours, Councillor
Okay.
Hancock.
No, I just want to note as well, just as a little update there for, at least for the minutes going online, that I was also present for this meeting. That's
Well,
okay.
my apologies, Count. I had that in my book, but I didn't say it.
Oh, that's okay. No worries. And yeah, just I guess for me, just want to build on the I attended the bonfire, and it was a great night. And just want to, leading off what Brett said, just bring recognition to the Pentecostal Church for their contribution. Who am I missing? Oh, Tim Hortons. I wanted to mention Tim Hortons as well, who always comes through.
Right, sorry.
I know they ran out of hot chocolate, but I did hear that she's potentially going to buy another one of those big units. She said to me, I filled up everything I had. You know what I mean? But I got no more vessels really to hold it in, right? So I think she's going to get one more for next year. But it was a great event.
Great comments.
The kids spotted water bottles from the fire department, so there's cases of
Yeah.
water in the fire trucks afterwards.
Good, yeah.
And thanks to fire department for coming out as well for that.
Nice. Yeah, that seems like two really great events. Years ago, it didn't seem to get the uptake, and I'm talking 20, 30 years ago, it was kind of every young teenager was building their own, but it's really great to see the community for the last number of years taking this on. And unfortunately, I couldn't be there, which I always love to have a roasted wiener or a marshmallow, but ended up being in attendance at the armistice supper with at the Legion with myself and previous mayor Goodyear was quite highlighting. But I just want to say thanks for this year as we end off this year to all council members for participating in community events and staff, because it's quite, I'd like for it to be possible. It was not possible for me to be there for everything. So I just want to say hats off to everyone. And I got a lot of good comments that this council is really engaged in community events and throughout. So hats off to you all. Are there any more questions or is there any more discussion?
I know that number 2, since our meeting, has been discussed around the council table, and it's slightly different perhaps than what's there. Do we want to update that? You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at this and it's slightly different than.
For what was discussed, I think this is fair to say.
It's within
The
reason.
biggest ask of community is when will the lights be back on, and this grants that to move forward. So
Okay. I mean, I'm okay with it. I just
it'll be
the lights themselves, I guess, will have the ability to change. That's the big piece, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And we will leave it with the pros that know what they're doing.
Okay.
All right. Any further discussion?
I just want to have a quick update for the community. People keep asking about the annex. I know we said we're going to do an update soon, which I'll absolutely leave that to you to update the community. But we are investing in building a building within our community that every resident in town is going to be able to use. I've heard a lot of, single sports groups, maybe extra ice surfaces or, some of those things around the table. And again, for extra ice time, we're working on Swartz's Park and outdoor fields and stuff like that. But the annex is definitely going to be a building that's going to be in this community for every resident.
Definitely.
For, conferences, for theater, for arts, for tourism, for heritage, for, health and wellness, you name it. Like, this community center and this annex is going to house for everybody. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that a little bit, because I've seen a few comments, but I'm really excited to see that annex go up and make it available for every resident in town, be able to use a building. Yeah, so I know that we're going to get to our updates. We're going to get to, all that sort of fun stuff, but I just wanted to throw that out there tonight.
No, definitely, and that all relates into, being on a live feed, and that was the wish and want of residents. And I did state June, it was one of the meetings that we have in June publicly that I'd give an update. I don't know if I put a specific date to it. I should learn better to probably not go specific to a date, but I did say, but prior to the end of this year, once you've seen things come to fruition, which a lot of people are seeing, back to Councillor Langdon made a post of showing the progress, and people are getting, a little more curious, excited what we're going to facilitate there. So I do hope to do an update prior to the end of this year, and as communications director can an operations director can relate to this message. As more meetings go on in progress, it gives us a closer time for a deadline to when it can actually open. So like any construction build, it takes one day it's on for this date, next day it's 2 months delayed, but things are looking good. And again, I think there's a lot of people excited. There's been some miscommunication of certain things aren't going to be there and what's not going to be there, and it's exactly as what the tender went out to be. So that's for clarification for everybody. And I look forward to it. Again, I think there's a great uptake for it. And I've heard as far as, I can say it's maybe a wish, but possibly having some high-level professional, possibly fingers, toes, arms, legs, everything crossed, some professional sports, basketball people possibly coming to the area for the grand opening. That's something I'll keep working towards. So I won't get any more specific than that, but I think kids or everyone would get really excited over something like that.
That's
I know that we've all received emails and seen the congestion at the parking lot at the stadium. I don't think it's anything that anybody is unaware of. But again, just another to let the community know this is something that we're actively working on daily between contractors and, occupational health and safety. That is certainly top of mind. We're seeing it, especially with the snowfall the weekend, and cars in the parking lot unable to get up over that hill. So we're not ignoring it. We're, from the recreation standpoint, Public Works, the project itself. I just wanted to let public know that that's
No,
so we're working on for sure.
definitely. Myself and the operations director actually were in the parking lot last week looking in nighttime just to see how we can communicate with the contractor, the general contractor, to alleviate some space and to possibly hold up your lay-down area, and with the construction season not coming to an end, but, slowing down on that build, I guess is the best way to say it, is we need that extra bit of space, right? With that being said, and I should see, here we go again, I should retract my comment about Councillor Fitzgerald's committee sometimes being the less contentious or discussed, but rec always seems to bring up some great discussion. So with that, I'll ask, are there any more questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. All right, it is now, hearing no further business, 8:16. I'll call for an adjournment. I need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Freak. Meeting adjourned at 8:16 p.m. Thank you.